Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Southampton, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. We have yet to rename ourselves to the Daily Misery. It's a working title because, let's face it, currently watching Southampton Football Club play any sort of supposed quote-unquote football is slowly killing us all. How do you feel, Greg, after this 4-0 loss on a Tuesday, a couple of days after another loss? How many was that by? 4, 5? I'm losing track.
It's put years on me, yeah. Look, in an effort to not sound completely miserable, I'm going to steal your idea and your line, Zach, and shout out our away support because they were unbelievable again. They were the only fans you could hear on the TV somehow. The only thing that made me smile in the entirety of the second half was we've got the ball, and we've lost the ball. That was it. So anyone who paid good money to go up to Stamford Bridge, round of applause, fair play.
Yeah, big agree. It's insane what as fans we're having to part with at the moment, as it is. To be able to go and sit and sing throughout all of that, I guess is probably the only thing you can do to have fun. But good grief. I hope at the very least they came and clapped you. It's the very least you'll deserve. That's right. I guess, unfortunately, Greg, now we've shouted out the true heroes of Southampton Football Club, we're going to actually have to talk about the game. This is our second attempt at recording because the last one broke, which is great. It really sums up how the day's gone.
Yeah, it really cheered us up.
Really. Rightio, so we will start at the start, and the start was something that me, you, and our compatriot Oscar, who was there tonight, we're yet to hear from him, but I imagine he's had a whale of a time. The first thing we all noticed was the team sheet. Now, I understand we have a few injuries and there's a few centre-backs that are causing problems. If only we had some centre-backs that are lighting the Championship a light or something like that. That could have actually been in our squad,
or even 3 on the bench as a start.
You know.
But no, instead of our big change that we were promised from Juric, we get one centre back who's playing his second game in 4 days after not playing any games for 500. We play James Bree, who is a fullback by trade, and our top goal scorer.
Our top goal scorer and an attacking midfielder, Joe Aribo.
Yeah.
I was reminded due to the Rangers situation recently with Clement going that he was in a European final at one point.
Yeah.
You wonder
playing as striker, by the way.
Yeah. You wonder how if he thought that he made the right decision.
And look, with credit to Joe Aribo, he steps up to the mark when we play him at centre back and does all right, but he's not a centre back.
He's not a centre back. No.
So what are we doing? We've got 3 centre backs on the bench. So if they're not fit to start, why are they on the bench? I understand they're probably not fit enough for 90 minutes, but there's 3 of them. Figure it out. Surely they can do half an hour each.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. Like looking at our lineups, it's genuinely baffling. And Sugawara and Kyle Walker-Peters, sure.
Sugawara is the worst defensive fullback we have.
Yeah, I love the guy, but
he's fine. He's pretty good going forward, but defensively, shocking. We didn't see any of that tonight, to be clear. But in the past, we've seen that he can put a ball in and get on the end of a ball. And then you move forward to the midfield. And
they're just not good enough, mate. We've got Big Les out, because obviously he's against his parent club, but you've got Downs and Smallbone, and I'm sure we're going to get into the discussion about the both of them. But this was Downs' redemption. Supposed to come back in after throwing his toys out the pram because he doesn't get to play for Russell and go to Ipswich and whatever. Clean slate when you step on the field and you're actually going to put the effort in. and gave away a goal and did Downs things, and it's just the same script
Yeah. It
every
wasn't through
game
lack of effort, to be clear. He did put effort in, but also he was poor. He kept passing it to Chelsea players.
all the time.
Yeah, consistently. I think it was 4 or 5 in a 10-minute period where he couldn't find a yellow shirt. Was just passing it to any Chelsea player he fancied. It was madness. There was one right after the goal where he got lucky and we didn't concede again. It's just baffling. And Smallbone, yeah. I mean, I feel like we rag on Will Smallbone a lot on this podcast, and I feel bad for it because I don't dislike Will Smallbone.
He's a nice guy. He's one of our own. He's scored pivotal goals in the championship. He's a nice guy. He suffered probably more abuse than he should have when
Absolutely.
that was fair as well. Like, again, I've always said this before. We're always criticizing their footballing ability or stuff that's footballing, never personal. It's weird when people do that. You
Yeah.
don't know them. But like as a
But he's not a Premier
footballer,
League player.
no, he's just not.
He showed that in 90 minutes tonight because he was just not there at all. How he gets 90 minutes is baffling. And then, what's the point in Grombeck? We brought him in supposedly to be this midfielder, and instead we stick with 90 minutes of Smallbone and what, 78
I
minutes of Downs before we whip him off and put a striker on.
I
Like, what
can't
are we
work
doing?
out what or who made that transfer. Like, is it Juric's people? Is it some random scout that works for Sports Republic that said, "Oh, he looks like he wants some minutes. It'll be cheap." Why do we keep? It's a couple of We already know that our transfer business is shocking, and I'm hoping that'll change going forward with Spurs. I don't really actually have as much confidence that it will, because at the end of the day, Sports Republic is slowly running us into the ground, and I know that I also put a ode to hope out there. And I guess that's the best case scenario, right? Like, it's my idea of the best case scenario of the fact that they do invest, they don't want to lose money out on their investment. But like, you cannot allow this to continue, and you cannot randomly keep getting managers in that try and completely shift the way that we work. And in regards to this one specifically, I think the jury's out. And like, we'll talk about it after a nicer positive message from our wonderful partners at Bioniq.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN 2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now. Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network.
And we're back. Thank you for this small interlude there, where both me and Greg can take a breath and try to be less sad and mad. But I will, unfortunately, probably rile you up slightly more, Greg. We've been asked this question a couple of times. We've always stayed a little bit ambiguous when it comes to the managers, because you just want to see how it goes. With Juric, it's not going great.
I don't see how he can. I don't see what he has as a defence now. He came out after the last game and said something needs to change. Now he's the something that needs to change, because what we did was exactly the same thing. We played a system that clearly doesn't work. We get trodden over in midfield 100% of the time, even when we actually play midfielders. Our defence is non-existent because we don't play defenders. And Paul Ramsdale's left out to dry to, stop it being an absolute hammering. Well, I mean, even 4-0 is a hammering, but without Ramsdale in goal, it's what, 7, 8?
But that's the upsetting thing, is we've accepted the 4-0 isn't really a hammering anymore. We accept we have got to a point now where the mediocrity of this football club is just it's beyond embarrassing. Like, we have to be self-deprecating to get through the day.
But
I get it, but
the really upsetting part of it is not even the loss. Like, should we go to Stamford Bridge and expect to get anything? No. Do we expect to lose? Yes. With the, our form and the clear quality in our team, do we expect to lose pretty heavily? Yeah, probably. Do we expect to just give up at 45 minutes?
No.
Or not even that, 26 minutes when the first goal goes in? No. And that's what we did. We just gave up. And
I've never
it's
seen.
bad.
The problem is it
It's
comes out of the. You're right. Shameful is the correct word because it comes out of the same playbook that we've seen all season, regardless of manager. And it's that we go a goal down, confidence is shot, despite the fact we were playing quite well, and then our reaction to that is everyone to start kind of just sort of put in about 50%. And the thing is, with the type of football they want us to play, all the managers we've had, 50% FA ain't going to cut it. And that shows you it's been we got put to the sword once again. And again, we've not seen the post-match presser. We jumped straight in after the game to record it. Don't even know if I want to. I'm just going to hear the same old stories from across the board that we've heard time and time again. And I think I saw a good summary. I think it was in the Guardian or somebody that doesn't even really follow Saints. What is it like? Where teams aren't willing to accept or play ugly football anymore, right? Like we're the worst of that, right? Like even under Puel, yeah, it was boring, but they still finished like 8th or whatever. But yet we're like, no, we need this attacking. We're not good enough for it. We're not good enough for the system Russell Martin's implemented. We're not good enough for what Juric wants to see. We got about 3 or 4 players that probably put in 100% each game. And even those, like that 100%, when you're surrounded by people that aren't. And then also, I reckon there are players that are trying that just aren't good enough for the Premier League. I'm really sorry, but like you can't say that you are and then be going down in history currently as the worst team in Premier League history. That is what they will go down as
And
unless they
deservedly
fight it.
so, frankly. Especially based off of just giving up tonight. It's really awful. Like, I think I can count on one hand the amount of players who continues to try tonight. And that's the most upsetting part. Joe Aribo, playing at centre back, our top goal scorer for the season, gets into a position where he dribbles past 5 Chelsea players and ends up in a position where he's almost through on goal but forced wide, and there is no one in a 30-yard radius of him. Like, how? Why? It's just mad. Yeah.
It's the basics, man. Like they keep speaking about it. It's going back to basics instead of trying to play weird ways that that the experimental managers come in and chop and change and this, that, and the other. And it's just awful. Like for me, that's kind of the nail in the coffin when it comes to Juric. I just don't see it. It's not working. I don't. There's no. It's almost like we've gone from. The complete opposite, right? Like it was like when we had Hasenhüttl and he was really passionate and really said a lot but didn't really do a lot. And then we ended up having Jones, who was just like, he was doing really well with Charlton because this is level, but also he was just awful, vitriol, like the complete opposite. And now we've gone from like Russell Martin, who quite personable but was willing to die by his principles, to now a man that was supposedly not as personable, and that might just be the fact that he's not got those relationship with those players, and it takes a while to establish that. And he is already doing better with some of them, but also supposedly isn't going to like stick to specific principles and is going to try and play a certain way, but also is willing to adapt. And then will come out in a post-match conference and say, yeah, something needs to change. Get home and go, actually, no, we're going to do the same thing again. These players just need to play well enough. They haven't played well enough all of your games so far, mate. What makes
No.
it you think it's going to happen now?
Not only are they not playing well
Baffling.
enough, there's just no fight. There's no way they're playing for him. You want to talk about
No.
losing the dressing room? I mean, it's ridiculous.
You've
No
got
effort after
players.
26
There are
minutes.
some players playing for them, right? Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
Sulemana's one of them.
yeah.
He's got the freedom to do that. Paul, another one, but again, not good enough. But like,
I don't care about the motivation. Like, that's not.
same.
It's a bit of fight. It's a bit of something. Like Sulemana today actually chased down players, closed down, didn't give up on the ball anywhere near as much as I've seen from him in the past. When he did get on the ball, took on the defender, more often than not beat the defender. But then what? Got one cross in to Paul where Paul was actually in the right position, and then was so surprised that he'd managed to head it towards goal that he didn't follow up and chase the rebound. And one that pulled back to Manning. Like, if Manning is
it's
the
harrowing.
player you've got most progressed in the team to be in a position to score, the system's wrong. Like, it's just, what can you do? It's not working. Is it even worth changing him before the end of the season?
No, probably not.
Probably not. But that's miserable in itself, because now we have to suffer every game. And, shout out to the Saints fans that attended, but the chants at the end of "battered again, LA, LA, LA" really say it all. Like,
Oh, it kills you inside, doesn't it? Right, let's I guess have our closing thoughts,
oh,
and a little bit more after a word from our partners at Zencastr.
So here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description and learn more about Zencastr.
And we're back. So, yeah, obviously, as far as we're concerned, it's not Juric out, but it's absolutely zero faith in him. And by not Juric out, what I mean is that, one, I think it's too expensive. Two, what's the point at this rate? Because I don't think we'll get. I don't know. Maybe is it worth getting another new manager bounce to get 2 or 3 draws? So we just beat Derby's Derby's points record. Do we do that? Can we
Honestly,
afford to do that?
I don't even know, mate. Like, it just feels deserved at this point. It feels.
You're right.
It's horrible.
That's the sad thing about it.
What's it, like 67 goals now we've conceded?
We have conceded the most in like top flight, or as I say, top flight in all English leagues apart from Plymouth. Was the stat that appeared on screen tonight, and I was like, oh, you're right. But again, it's like how we're not even considering 4-0 to be like a battering, because it just happens so often.
That's just every week. Frankly, 4 is probably better than it could have been. Where do we go? I mean, we got Liverpool next.
Oh, that's all right then.
So
chuck everyone behind the ball. Don't bother. That's where I'm at.
They could play their B team because they've got Champions League, before us. And I just think their B team will still batter us.
Well, you had Chelsea sub on 17-year-old today and 18-year-old debuts across the board. So this is the thing. It's like there's nothing to give the faithful hope at the moment, and I can understand why. And like it's absolutely harrowing that like they seem to not know what their instructions are, so they wing it, and they wing it badly. A lot of them still wing it by trying to pass it back, and that fails miserably. Rambo is great as a shot stopper. I don't really understand why he's acting as captain when you know for a fact that, this is no disrespect to the player. He's a really good player, but you know for a fact that he knows he's not going to be here next season. He's going to go somewhere else.
It's just sad, mate. Like, do you remember at the beginning of the season, like, if there was a midweek game, it would get to 2:30 of an afternoon at work, and I'd be messaging you going, can't focus on work, just buzzing for the game tonight.
Agreed. And
it got to 7:45 tonight, and I went, I've got to watch football tonight. Like, it's just sad. Like, like, we knew what was going to happen. It's not a surprise that we lost tonight. It's devastating that we gave up and capitulated so easily. It's even more upsetting that we actually weren't awful for the first 20 minutes, but it doesn't matter because what happened after that was abysmal.
It's the same. It follows a script. It's 20-25 minutes of spells here or there. We actually look like something's going to happen. Nothing ends up happening. We don't take our chances.
Follow the script tonight, though, mate, because the script is play look at the team sheet, go, what are they doing? What is this shape? play surprisingly well for 15 to 20 minutes, concede a sloppy goal, heads drop, probably concede a second or third sloppy goal, get into the break at half time, come out in the second half and do something. And that didn't even happen tonight. The second half was a waste of time. We might as well have started recording at half time and we'd had the same podcast.
just all we'd have to do is say, well, yeah, obviously, we've lost 0-0.
Yeah.
We just, at this point, we just start recording sound bites of us saying whatever. Yeah, you're right. I think it's the sad thing about it is that it's just sad. There's nothing else, and
Sterling
then
came on and looked uninterested or couldn't get involved, one or the other. I
probably
mean,
both.
to me, it looks uninterested because Rebo's driving up the pitch, and that's exactly the sort of position you'd think Diblin would
Probably
find
both.
space to be passed in, and there's just no one there. Like, we took off Flynn Downs in like the 78th minute or something and chucked on Cameron Archer. So then at that point, we're playing what? 4 forward players, no midfield because Smallbone doesn't count, an attacking midfielder at centre back. Just
It's
like if they'd have put the sub board up and gone, now we're going to see Jack Stevens in goal, would have been like, yeah, that checks out. Like,
it does feel just a bit of a roll of the dice, and
we're
this
just
is
going to
what I
rest
mean.
Rambo so we can make our money back on him at the end of the season. We're not going to play him anymore. We'll just stick Jan Bednarek in goal. Like, it's just make it make sense.
We knew, okay, so we knew it was going to come down to this, and we knew that it was going to get to a point where they'd already kind of given up. I think it's happened earlier than we'd have liked it to. It's happened in a way that feels gross. It feels grim around the club. The way that season ticket holders are kind of treated sucks. We had a discussion today because you were thinking, oh, maybe I'll take my wife and my mum to the Dell for a pub lunch, and then you started looking at the prices, and when it was 40 quid for a mixed grill, you're like, or I could just do literally anything else, and you're there like, I think
For
this
the
isn't just
record, I
a
floated that idea to my wife as a bit of a joke, and it did not land.
yeah. So there you go, and
It
I
was
think
about
that's
on target as Paul Arnachu's single shot this evening.
and God, good lord, you're right. It's just a sad state of affairs, and it's hard to figure out what comes next, where we are next, and all I can really say in any sort of sense of positivity is championship ole ole ole. Like
Yeah,
if it comes down to it and we do a Luton next season,
very,
that'll be
very
that.
possible. Very, very
The
possible the way
state it
it's
is at
going.
the moment, the state of the because I feel like you know if you're the players as well, you don't really know what you're meant to be doing anymore. And again,
Also, whether we get another win and manage to break Derby's record or not, we are fully on track to be the team that with the earliest ever confirmation of relegation from the Premier League.
I'm surprised there already isn't there. To be fair,
I think that if with Wolves winning at the weekend, I think that if they get a win and we lose to Liverpool, which we're going to do, that confirms relegation. We're in February. Like we'll be in March by then, just
it
about.
is nuts, isn't it? Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to do this daily at the moment and not be miserable. And we'll make our jokes. And the only good thing I think going forward is that we'll have a little bit of a gap now because obviously we're
Yeah,
out of every single cup. We'll try and do some maybe fun stuff. Maybe some
I've got some nice ideas lined up.
yeah, there you go. Like looking back at some of the happier days about do you remember when we weren't sort of in a position that is now beyond farcical? And maybe they'll go and do some work off the training ground, and I feel like someone somewhere needs to start making decisions, or alternatively just Sports Republic need to understand that maybe they're just not cut out for this football thing, or alternatively not cut out for this Premier League thing,
The
and
volume of that Sports Republic out movement
going up in it.
is only increasing. And look, still a strong advocate of be careful what you wish for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
again, like
but like I get it,
I get
right?
it too. My
I
ode to hope.
understand. I understand the frustration, and you're right. They have not done a good job. and I am not disagreeing with that sentiment. However, there's a difference between becoming Luton next season and becoming Bury, you know?
Yeah, and we've been there before. We skirted it. We've
Yeah.
had clubs around us skirt around it. It's terrifying. As I said, like my ode to hope, best case scenario is where I'm at. Like they think it through. They start to realise where the problems are and they do something about it. I feel like anyone with half a brain who's been watching the way we've been playing, has been watching what's happening behind the scenes, has kind of watched what's going on, and the fact that they were smart enough to put a 6-month break clause into Juric's contract, to me says that's it.
I've heard reports that might not be the case, but I don't see him being manager here next season, whether that's a clause or not. So
If you supposedly want to show ambition and you want to build something, again, it's the whole sticking to your principles thing. And like I was under the understanding that we brought him in to defensively shore up and also adapt when necessary. And he's proven today he's unable to do that. So is what it
mad,
is.
isn't it? Because we're supposed to defensively shore us up. And can you name a time where he's played two centre backs together?
Well, when we had Taylor Harbour-Bellis and Jan Bednarek at the same time, but then even
then it was Bree, right? So
yeah, we still tried to do this weird three again. Like it's almost like a shake up from the top down, and maybe we'll have it, maybe we won't. I understand the sentiment likewise of the Sports Republic out. I'm just very scared of by selling financially to be, you don't know who might take over, and that's always worrying. And I don't think they're going to sell off the basis that people are upset about it. Yeah, it's harrowing, guys, but hopefully it will get better. And in the interim, we'll try and entertain you with some stuff that isn't the harrowing results of Southampton Football Club, but instead happier times, happier memories, funny things that we'll talk about. Going forward, it's not going to be the worst. The fact that I'm having to be the positive one, because I think they finally got to Greg, it's really upsetting.
I don't know, mate. Look,
really the Oscar here to balance me out, but I don't think he's going to have much.
We've got a break coming up where I've got to try my absolute hardest to get optimistic going into play probably the most informed team in the country. So
Look, here you go. Here's a positive. If we lose 10-0, we break another Southampton record. And on top of that, I think they'll probably fire Juric off the back of it. So
just a bit of breaking news from Juric's post-match press conference as it sort of filters in his true blunt fashion when asked by Alfie House if he worries for his job. He says, everything's possible. It's the club's decision what they want to do, of course. So, yeah.
That's all we got, Saints fans.
Right. Look, I mean, there is a positive, right? We like to end on a positive. I actually somehow, Zach, I found a positive.
Thank you. It's certainly one coming from me.
We had almost 0.5 more XG tonight than we managed against Brighton. We had a 0.6 expected goals.
Oh, honestly, thank you to all of those that listened, and thank you to you, Greg, because if not, I think that this season might have actually finished me off. What a horrible, weird season it's been, but thank goodness we've got to have a laugh about it day in, day out, because genuinely,
if you didn't laugh, you'd cry, right?
This is true. And once again, shout out to the heroes that are our away support. We heard you. We agree with you. We laughed with you. Every single time you complain that they're only winning by a certain amount of goals, you make my wife laugh, and that makes my life easier. So catch us on all of the socials. We're on all the social medias. There'll probably be clips of today up. And again, we'll try and lighten the mood a little bit with some fun stuff coming up. Unless you're all about misery, in which case we've probably still got an abundance of that left. There's still
I'm sure there's plenty of that. We've got to fill loads of days until we play Liverpool.
And until then, thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye bye.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.